Hey, morning YouTube. Today we're gonna do some shrink wrapping. Got a buddy of mine's boat over here, little 19 footer, 18 footer, 20 footer, I don't know what it is. Got shrink wrapping for him, so we're gonna go do that. This guy's gonna help me. Maybe not. Anyways, I'm gonna go hook up put the ball on the bobcat here and go over and get it. Oh, anybody want a mower? Got 11 zero turns. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Those two are mine from earlier. 4, 5, 6 zero turn riders, and 1, 2, I think 3 or 4 walk behinds. So I'm gonna make a couple of runners out of all of it, see what happens. But anyways, back to the subject. Let's get this guy started. Couple 10-15 seconds here. It's about 45 degrees right now, so shouldn't be too bad. Not too bad. So I gotta put a ball on here and then we'll go get that boat. I'm gonna shrink wrap that one next. Probably not today though. Alright, so let's go get this thing. Alright, well here she sits. Just gotta get the top cover off of it and start getting the stuff ready to shrink her up. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna run a center strap down the boat. So if you don't have an anchor pulpit or a cleat down the center of the boat, you could run a piece between your two bow cleats, just a little piece, and then tie a strap to the center of that. And as you pull it back, it'll find its way in the middle. But you definitely want a center strap, and we're gonna bring it all the way over the boat, over the top of this 2x4 stanchion, and then down to this ski hook here. And then that'll hold that upright. And then we'll put the webbing on the side to side stuff. So hang on. All right, so now that the center strap is down, you can see I went off the outdrive here because off the ski hook here, it was pushing too hard down on the cushion, and I don't want it sitting like that all winter time. So I'm just ran a short piece off the legs here and then just tied to the center here. I think this is a nice one. Now you can do this too. You can grab a staple gun and just put a couple of staples in the very top there, and that'll just keep the thing from sliding back and forth. Not that it will, because the strap goes down on both ends. But I'm gonna put the webbing across here, probably bring an angle down here to this cleat, one to the front, one to that front cleat, one down to this cleat, and then I'll staple that all up there, and then I'll wad up like a piece of carpet or an old t-shirt or two and tape that around the top of that, so that when we put the shrink wrap over, we're not gonna get any punctures. So let me get that done and I'll show you what it's like. Okay, now that all the webbing is up, I'm gonna go around here and get up on top and tape on a nice something big, t-shirt or something. And bring this down, bring the shrink wrap out, and go from there. Looks like I'm gonna have to put something on this anchor pulpit here too to keep from poking through. And then I think I'm gonna run the shrink wrap right around the front here. And then, but for now we gotta put a belly strap on. A belly strap is the part that's gonna go along here that the shrink wrap is gonna go underneath, and that's gonna hold it down. So when you start putting that on, and I'll show you what that's like. Okay, I'm gonna incorporate his outdrive right into the shrink wrap. So I strapped around the bottom of that one. It's a little tricky getting the shrink wrap to go around that blade and stuff, but I'll get it worked out. And you can see I got some tape here, a couple pieces of tape, one here and here. What happens is if I just pull this strap tight, it's just gonna flop under the boat. So I'm gonna run some straps that go from down to here, from that cleat down to there. And what that does is it keeps the strap from falling down. And then once those are on, I shrink wrap it, and then I'm going to put straps that go from there underneath the belly straps, and that's what keeps the shrink wrap from riding up. So the tape is just temporary until I get the straps on. So we'll do that now. Alright, so now that these straps are on here, you can take off the tape, and then that band's not going to slide down. So now it's time to get the shrink wrap out. We'll go over the top of this, and then I'll tuck it under and call welding it, shrinking it to itself to hold it around that strap, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so me and a friend of mine slapped this thing together last year. Just a couple pieces of angle iron and a hole through just to keep the thing elevated and not dragging through the stones and stuff. And since this shrink wrap here is, I believe, 23 or 25 feet wide, and this boat's only 19 feet long, so instead of running it from the back over the front and having all that left over, I'll run it over the side, and then it should be wide enough to get the length of this boat, and then cut it off and not have a lot of waste. So let me put something up on there, and then we'll go drag this over. Alright, so that's alright up there. I got an old sweatshirt or something up there tying off there, and then I got another one tied off the anchor pulpit. So now when we shrink this down, those parts won't poke through. Alright, so now that the top is, shrink wrap is loosely on, tucked into where I want it, you can see that it's just came up a little bit short. It's not a big deal because I can put another little panel on here to cover that up, so I'm not really too worried about that. It looks pretty good. I got it all tucked in. One crease down the middle that I fold on itself and weld to itself. You'll see that in a little bit. And again in the front of the bow here, it came up a little bit short too. 23 feet isn't quite enough to get across a 19-foot boat with its, you know, the stanchion in the middle, outdrive and bow pulpit. So we'll just have a little bit extra to put on here, but I'm gonna get out the torch and we'll start welding this down, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so next thing you're gonna wanna do is get yourself a nice torch with a nice big long hose. And I usually set this canister up about midship, and that way I have enough line to get from front to back, or bow to stern. And it's a nice hose. Get our nice gun here, the gas going. Got a nice flame, nice fanned out flame, and then I have an extension pole in the garage that I can do the rest of it with. So as my dog is chewing on the propane line, which is probably not awesome, but just a piece of tape, no big deal. Get out of there, bub. I gotta go get myself some fireproof gloves, and we'll start the welding process. All right, like I said, I got this all on, and I just have a couple of pieces of tape holding it down in case it got breezy until it can start shrinking. Obviously, I can't do this one-handed, so I'm gonna just hit this real quick, and then I'm gonna show you what I did, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the reason why you want, you know, fireproof gloves, heat-resistant gloves, is with your one hand, you're just gonna take the torch. You see how I got this pleat here? It's a big open pleat. You wanna kind of open that up with your gloved hand and just hit it with a little bit of heat until you see it start to shrink, and then with your gloved hand, you just tap it, and it sticks to itself. The glove's all dirty, but not a big deal, you get the idea. So it sticks to itself all the way down. And the same with this bottom strap that goes, the belly strap that comes all the way around. You just, if you have it all tucked up underneath, you just hit this with the heat, and with the other hand, you just kind of slap it, and then it welds to itself. So now the strap is at the bottom here, and then we do that all the way around the whole perimeter of the boat. And then I usually just do these two pleats on either side, get them welded in, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the belly straps on. And once the belly straps are on, then we can do the whole thing. So, oh, and little things like this. The shrink wrap was stored on a roll, and you know, things fall into it over the summer and stuff, and you're gonna get little nicks like this. And what's gonna happen is when you're hitting this with the torch, this is gonna get big. It's gonna kind of get big. So you wanna make sure that you have yourself some like 6-inch wide shrink wrap tape, or you know, the 2-inch wide or whatever, and you're gonna wanna cover those up after they're shrunk. And then you can either hit the shrink wrap tape a little bit with heat. I usually don't, I just tape them up good. And if you get one that happens to be like up in here, we're gonna run some vents in here, so those would be the spots where I'd run a vent. And we'll get to the vents after this is all shrink wrapped. So I'm gonna move this little knucklehead out of the way so he doesn't catch on fire. And I'll get this welded down and we'll go from there. All right, so now that the whole perimeter of the boat is welded, we're gonna go ahead and put the belly strap on it. I figure probably one there, one in the middle, and one at the transom. And that ought to hold it down pretty good. And what that does is as you start hitting this with shrink, it's gonna pull up on this. So you wanna put those straps in to keep the cover down, or else it'll never get tight enough. So, and then like I said, we gotta address this issue once we're done. I think I'm gonna shrink this up and then I'll just cut out a panel and tape it welded on and just get that tucked under. Not a big deal. As far as the bow is concerned, doesn't quite cover here, but I can just fold it over on itself and that'll be good for there. A little strap hanging out, it's not a big deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this belly strap down and we'll go from there. Alright, I got you set up on a stool here. I'll try to capture this on camera, show you how to shrink it. What you really want to kind of do when you're shrinking the boats is try not to chase a wrinkle. So if you get ahead of yourself and a wrinkle forms behind it, try not to chase it, because what you're going to end up doing is going over the part that you already hit with the torch, and then it's just going to get thinner, and then you're going to end up getting a hole. So once you shrink this down, as it cools, it gets actually tighter too. So once you're shrinking it and you think you don't have quite enough, just wait a little while. Once it cools down, you'll see that it gets even tighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this. like I said, you'll get some burn throughs every once in a while. Oh, looks like my dog licked the camera when I wasn't looking, but so we'll tape these up here real good, and then I'll get the wand out and we'll get the top real quick and I'll show you how it's done. All right, so that's good. I just cut out a piece that fit around everything and taped it off, shrunk it, welded the edges together, and then took another piece of tape. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but right here. And then it goes around the prop and around the bottom of the drive, so that way no water's gonna get in here and stuff, so it's good to go. Had a couple little blowouts had to fix. The belly straps, when you put the strap through there and tighten it, you usually get a little tear there, so I just go around with the tape afterwards and tuck it in, tape it on the front, and bring it around the back onto itself, and then that's not going to go anywhere. So wherever the strap went, right there. So we're good to go. Now I'm going to get that wand, and he's going to help me. All right, looks like we ran into a bit of a problem. I have this extension wand here. You take the nozzle off the gun, put this big long wand on here, and then you put the nozzle on the other end. And inside here is what looks like a small spark plug. And when it's on just the gun itself, there's a good connection, it ignites. There's a little spring, and then there's a long wire that runs through here with a brass nut on one end and a spring on the other end that spark plug makes contact with, and then a spring in there makes contact with that. Somewhere in here I either severed something or the connections aren't clean or something, I don't know, but I don't really have time to get into it right now. So I'm just gonna grab a little step stool and go up there and just clean that up real quick. But other than that, it's all done. All the seams are taped and all the little holes are taped. Oh no, I got one more thing to show you. Once I get this done, I'm gonna put a couple of vents in, so hang on. Okay, well, the shrink wrapping's done and the vents are done. What I do for a vent is I just cut out a piece of scrap, and I cut it out in a triangle and just tape it so it leaves an opening, and then go way up underneath there with a blade and just cut out a little triangle or whatever. Do that on both sides and you're good to go. So that's it for this one. This one's ready to go. So if you could, just rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.